Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Ujaha and today we've got a new protocol, a new Terra application. This one is called Kinetic Money, and today I just kind of wanted to talk you through how it works and why I think it's a pretty interesting protocol. So as always, let's get straight to it. Now, Kinetic Money, what actually is it? Well, it uses a model based on an Ethereum application called Alchemix. And if you haven't heard of Alchemix, it's essentially a protocol that allows you to essentially get a loan which auto repays itself, and that's essentially what's going on over here. Future yield today, auto repaying loans granting you access to your future yields today, and we'll talk about how this all works very shortly. So how do you access it? Well, you just need to go to Kinetic Money, and in the top right corner you'll see this button called Launch Kinetic, and it'll take you to the website, or to the application, sorry. So how does it work exactly? Well, you know, there's basically 3 steps here. Number 1, deposit some collateral. And on Kinetic, what we're going to do is we're going to deposit UST. Now, when we deposit UST, we're going to be able to borrow another asset against it. And in this case, we're going to borrow KUST. Now, KUST is a synthetic version of UST, and it's supposed to be pegged 1-to-1 to UST. Now, currently, it's not actually doing that. We can have a look at CoinHall and have a look at KUST, and we can find that it's currently just over 1% off the peg for UST. However, there are some mechanisms that enable the peg to be retained, and we'll talk about that shortly as well. So that's essentially what you can do. You can deposit your collateral, borrow KUST against it, and essentially that loan, that KUST loan that you've got, is going to pay itself off over a long period of time. And that is because the collateral that you've deposited is yield bearing, and they use Anchor Protocol for this. So if you scroll down, here's what you'll see. So this is really interesting. So let's just play around with this. So let's say you have $2,000. Let's see if I can get it close to 2,000. Okay, it's around about 2,000. And you want to borrow, let's say you want to borrow $1,000 worth. Well, you can see that if you're earning 20%, which is approximately the current rate for Anchor Protocol, that loan will repay itself sometime in 2024, in October. And that's essentially just because of this collateral, this UST. It's going to be earning income, earning revenue from Anchor Protocol, and it's going to pay off this loan. So essentially, you're getting the future yield that you would have got from Anchor, and you're getting it earlier. And that's really powerful because you can essentially use leverage. So that's pretty much it. If you scroll down, you can read a little bit more about KUST. There is some liquidity on Astroport, sorry. So you can kind of go to Astroport, you can swap your KUST or UST directly on there. So let's go into the application now. And you'll see that there's these essentially three pages on the website. You've got the vault, the phaser, and stake. So let's start with the main thing, the vault. Now, the vault is essentially where you can deposit your collateral and borrow KUST against it. Now you can see that currently I haven't got any collateral in this wallet. I do have some in my other wallet, but in this I don't, so I can't really show you over here. But essentially what you do is you would click deposit. Now they don't have a deposit button available at the moment. Here it is. Deposit. Okay, so we're just going to enter a random amount of UST. We can enter 5 UST or whatever, however much you want to deposit in to the protocol. And once you click deposit, you'll just pay the small transaction fee, and you'll see your collateral value here of however much you've deposited. You can then borrow against it. Now, unfortunately, the debt cap is maxed out at the moment, and that is 17.4 million. So currently they are allowing users to borrow up to 17.4 million. That's because they don't have enough funds more than that in order to help maintain something called the phaser. And so we'll have to wait for the debt cap to increase. But for the time being, that's all we can do for the time being. So we can't actually borrow from at the moment, but I'm pretty sure in the near future, maybe even by the time that you're watching this video, that is now available. And essentially what we can do is we can just borrow KUST against it. And what you'll see over here is that your loan value will go up. And you can borrow up to 50% of the value. So let's say if you deposited a collateral of $1,000, you can borrow 500 KUST worth or $500 worth of KUST. And over time, that collateral is going to be earning a rate of currently 28.88%. Now you might think, wait, that's way higher than Anchor Protocol's 20%. Where's this extra yield coming from? We'll talk about that in a moment. But yeah, that this APY is kind of what you're earning at the moment, and that's going to pay off that loan. And it's nice that they've got this little date here. It tells you kind of how many days it'll take before you pay off your loan. So that's really interesting. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all what the vault is. You can basically deposit, you can borrow against it in the form of KUST, and yeah, it'll pay itself off over a long period of time. Now, let's go to the second tab, the phaser. This is essentially what enables you to be able to earn a little bit more than 20%. Now, the phaser has two functions. Its first function is to help maintain the peg of KUST, and the second function is to increase the yield compared to Anchor Protocol. So the phaser is essentially a large pool of UST, which initially came from the launch of Kinetic Money. And with this pool, they are able to offer a one-to-one peg with KUST. So what you can do is you can take your KUST, you can deposit it in here, and after a period of 14 days, you can take out the equivalent amount in UST. So if you had 100 KUST, you could take out 100 UST after 14 days. And this enables some arbitrage opportunities because people can go on the market, they can buy KUST for over 1% cheaper than the current rate. They can go to Kinetic Money and, within 14 days time, they can basically make that 1% just like that. And by people buying up KUST, that should increase the price of it, and that should help maintain some level of peg there. And you can see here that currently there's over 9 million KUST in the phaser, but there's 22 million UST available. Now, what that means is that in 14 days time, if everyone were to withdraw their UST, well, there's only going to be about 13 million left. Now this UST is also added on to your yield. So this UST is gone into Anchor Protocol as well and given out to the people who are borrowing. Hence why it's over 20%. Now, if everyone were to not use the phaser, this APY would increase even further. The more people that use the phaser, the more these funds are kind of drained out. The closer this is going to go to that base 19%. So really, we don't really want people to use the phaser, although I do understand why people would do it because it's an incredible arbitrage opportunity. Otherwise, what you can do is you can go directly onto Astroport, and this button takes you right there, and you can sell directly. So, if you had 100, look, here you go, you're making a 1.3% loss essentially by converting KUST into UST. However, you can just go to the phaser and get your one-to-one here, and by buying KUST, that should actually increase the price, and in theory that should help to maintain the peg. But the downside is that obviously that drains the funds coming out of the phaser, and that means that the actual vault APY is going to go down from 28%. It's going to probably go down further. If you go to the stake, they actually have the native tokens that you can kind of stake. You can provide liquidity as well. One of the interesting things is that you can provide liquidity for KUST and UST, and obviously that causes KUST to be bought up. That helps to maintain peg, and that's currently offering a very nice 30% APY, and that's probably because a lot of people are trading KUST or selling it off for UST, hence why it's lots of peg slightly. It is paid in the Kinetic governance token, so just be very wary of that because governance tokens generally don't perform the best, but that's for you to do your own research on. Of course, nothing in this video is financial advice. So there are a few risks involved, the first being obviously KUST losing its peg. Now, if that does happen, sometimes it can actually benefit you. Now, if you were to take out a loan, let's say if you took out a loan of 500 KUST and you instantly sold that for some Luna, or you wanted some more UST to leverage up slightly. Well, what if KUST dropped in price? Well, that means that it would be cheaper for you to pay back your loan, and that could be an incentive for people to pay off the loan earlier, just having a cheaper KUST. The downside on the other side, sorry, is that if KUST actually went above peg, well, that means that paying off your loan is going to be slightly more expensive as well. So there are a few risks there. You've also got the smart contract risk of having to deposit your collateral into a protocol. It's going to be locked up in here until the loan is paid off, pretty much. So you do have that added risk, and remember that this is just some code written by someone. There could be bugs and there could be faults in it that just haven't come to fruition just yet. So just be aware of that. That's pretty much how the protocol works. It's very easy. I think once the debt cap increases, we will be able to borrow some more, so that will be really interesting. I mean, look at this, there's only 12 cents available to borrow at the moment. Not very good. We want to see that increase, and that should hopefully increase in the near future. I mean, I don't suspect that to just remain at 17 million. That's quite, I mean, it's quite a lot of money, but I think it's quite low in the grand scheme of things. So we definitely want to see that increase. And when it does increase, I'll definitely have some more videos showing you the actual process of setting this up. But I mean, it's pretty simple. You just go to the top, you deposit your UST first, and then you can borrow against it. Now, if you don't borrow against it, sorry, and you only deposit UST, you might ask, are you still earning the 28%? Well, actually what's happening is your borrower limit will just keep increasing rather than your actual collateral value. So you can deposit UST into the protocol, and let's say if we use that example that we used earlier, if you deposited 100 UST, you can only borrow a maximum of 50 KUST, sorry. So you can only borrow up to 50%. If you were to just deposit your UST and not borrow against it, well, in that scenario, your kind of borrow limit will actually increase over time. So that's going to increase at a rate of 28%. But if you had a loan, you will be paying that loan off at a rate of 28%. Now, that is something that will change for sure. This definitely won't be 28% forever. You can see here it says net yield at which outstanding loans are paid back. This is going to change for sure. It just ultimately depends on the phaser, how many funds are in the phaser, how many people are phasing at the moment, and whether or not we see some different complex yield strategies in the near future. But time will tell for sure. Anyway, that's pretty much how Kinetic Money works. Make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you like this sort of content. If you want to stake your Luna, then make sure you go to 1-star validators because they're the best in the game and you can earn some lovely passive income staking your Luna. So I'll leave a link in the description to them. Make sure you subscribe to my newsletter as well. A lot of people really like the sort of content that I'm making there. I mean, I don't make it every single week, it's just whenever I seem to get some time. So if you like that sort of written material, then definitely go subscribe. That is free as well. So do that, and I'll be back with another video soon.